Simon & Schuster AudioWorks presents Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Just scoot myself a little bit closer.
He's scooting, everybody. He's scooting.
Rearrange.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah,
fuck.
that was bad, I know, but that's fine. You can just cut that. And then, I mean, definitely don't put that in because it would be disgusting.
Jesus Christ, I was not expecting that at all.
Let's start.
It shook my brain.
Was it a little, well, usually when I move my mic stand, it doesn't really like sound as grating and grinding as that. It's usually just like a. But that time it was like, yeah,
that was
I don't know why
weird.
that was
Yeah,
so bad that time.
it was a sort of sound that you would play to make someone kill somebody. Like that's
You think
you
so?
know that sort of thing. You know, but yeah.
Do you
whatever.
think? Do you think you could be a Cali boy?
Honestly, maybe if I worked on my body a little bit, I could.
You don't. No. The fact that you just said that to me, I feel like you can be Jack Black and be a Cali boy. You know?
Oh, that.
You know what I mean?
That's what you mean. Yeah, I guess.
You don't, because that's the thing. You're thinking too much. Like, oh, could I look like somebody who lives in California?
No. Yeah, another thing that I wanted to say is that I couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think I could be cool, cool like that. You know, like was it not like cool?
guess.
Like you know what I mean? Like mellow. You know, I couldn't be mellow. I don't think.
I think the beautiful thing about the LA lifestyle is that there's just I watched Bill and Ted for the first time this week.
Okay, yeah. Is that also
It's
in
just
LA?
like, yeah, well, not in LA, but in California.
Oh, okay, all right.
Saying some if a city starts with San, more than likely California, possibly New Mexico,
Yeah, true.
also maybe Texas, but I'm pretty sure that movie's saying California because it's about Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Either way, and then we watched Pool Man as well, which we'll get into later. But I don't know. I got a kind of feeling like there's just a certain vibe, I feel like, to people who grew up in California. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I
And I don't know if I could match it, but I feel like I'd like to.
I would be tired because I would have to be fighting Kazon, every day.
What?
Because they're what are they called, Kazon?
Oh,
right?
because of the LA
yeah,
gangs.
the LA
you're saying.
gangs. Yeah, exactly. And looking at Voyager, I wouldn't want to have nothing to do with Kazon in my entire life.
Yeah, because they're such a flimsy and shallow villain.
Yeah,
Am I right?
exactly. Exactly.
What a bunch of bullshit, man. You know what? Let's not even get started on Voyager. We don't want to. We're talking about not Star Trek today. We don't want to alienate people by going on another rant about how they were like, let's make an LA gangs themed villain for Voyager. And they look like shit. They look really weird in that show. Never mind. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on. I think I could be a California. Now, here's the thing. Okay, well, here's the thing. Would you rather be a pool man style California resident, or would you want to be in Willem Dafoe's cult in Kinds of Kindness? What's your choice?
Fuck, that's a rough one. Jesus, like that's.
I feel like both aren't great.
They're both not great. I was thinking that you're gonna give me a more of an open question, but I guess like I feel like if I found myself in a place, like a particular place, bad place in my life, I would be a lot more likely to just be in a cult rather than be in LA. You know what I mean? Because I would funnel down into being in a cult, and they would probably forcefully move me into that big mansion that they have, So probably the cult, yeah.
I'll go pool man. I go California because I'm thinking about it, and it's like you get a lot of. I think the freedom is important there because it's like, dude, what if I could go Point Break? I could go and
True.
become a surfer or something,
Yeah.
Become like a beach guy.
Like a character, yeah. That'd be good.
I could. There's all sorts, and I feel like the people in California are both probably incredibly evil, but also friendly. You know.
That's true. Yeah, you would.
Which I think would be interesting.
Yeah, because it's such a mellow atmosphere, but
Yeah.
it's like.
But at the same time,
yeah,
85% of the people are there to get famous and will do whatever it takes to get famous.
They will backstab you.
Exactly,
To
that's
get
what I'm
they
saying.
want. You know.
So I
That's
think that
true.
would be interesting. But I feel like if I'm in a cult, I've got like somebody telling me what to do, when to fuck. You know.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't
Yeah.
want that.
That is rough. That's true.
And then I have to have sex with a Willem Dafoe, and it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure he's a lovely man. I'm just not personally attracted to him.
Well, you know.
You know,
To each
I
their
don't know
own.
about you. He
Yeah,
didn't do it for me.
yeah, that's true.
He's
Yeah, well,
cool. He's a cool guy. He seems like a cool guy, right?
yeah, he seems
Yeah.
like a nice person. Yeah, there's like a extra bit at the end, where what's she called? Emma Stone, right? What is she called? Yeah, Emma Stone. Yeah, she's like talking about like giving advice on how to act or something, and then William Dafoe just like screams out, and he's like, "Don't look into the camera. You should have told me that 30 years ago." I was like, "Okay, nice, William Dafoe." But
Right.
yeah,
He's
because
right.
I bought like a extended edition where it was like it had like it had literally like 5 minutes of extra stuff at the end, which is like,
wow,
here's
what,
some
like
interview.
behind the scenes or
yeah, it was like behind the scenes stuff.
like featurettes kind of
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, I was.
So it wasn't like the movie had more scenes.
Nope, no,
It was
unless
just
maybe,
you got
but I don't.
featurettes.
Probably not. But it seemed because it was very interesting because like I typed it in on Amazon and it was like, all right, here is kinds of kindness, but then there's kinds of kindness extra features. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll buy that because
Don't you have Disney Plus?
Oh, is it on Disney Plus? Well, I bought it.
I think
anyway,
it's
so
a
then-
Fox Searchlight film. So it should be on
yeah,
Disney
it could have
Plus,
been
I
on there,
assume.
but
I didn't
whatever.
watch it there, but I saw it. We don't have to go into any more details on that. But we're not talking about kinds of kindness yet. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to those in a bit.
Yeah.
What we are talking about, though, is Dead Ensigns. Usually we go on for another 2 or 3 minutes with an intro, but I can't think of anything now. I'm Ben, this is Max.
This is me.
Max, how was your week? Anything
It's
you want to
been
talk about before we
it's
get
been
into the
alright.
main course?
Watched some movies. Started playing a pretty old video game now.
And you start playing a new video game as well?
I did, but it's
It sucks. I get it, don't
I
worry
need
about
to
it.
get. I could get into it, but I don't want to because
I'd like to hear. I'm curious.
Unfortunately, I think about Space Marine 2 is that it's a game that I was excited for. I like Warhammer 40k, especially with the aesthetic and.
Now, I'd like to say as well, on top of that, I don't care about Warhammer, but I do see clips of this game, and I'm like, this does just seem like a cool sci-fi game.
Yeah, the thing I experienced playing this game is you play it and it feels like you're playing a God of War from PS2. You know, it has like
Okay.
it hasn't moved gameplay wise at all. You know, in terms
Sure.
of mechanics are very simple.
I
Overall,
guess it's a sequel. Didn't the last one of these games come out like 12, 13 years ago or something?
Yeah, exactly, and it
And
feels
is
like
it-
exactly like
yeah.
that game,
Like
basically.
a 12, 13-year-old game.
Yeah. And it looks
Alright.
really nice. That's the thing. It's a
It
game
does
that
look very
looks really
flashy.
nice.
Yeah.
It has the like weird like crowd mechanics that are really fun, so it makes it like
Sure.
seem like you're fighting a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
I played that game. I finished it.
Oh, you've already finished it.
Yeah, because it's a very short game too. It's a
Oh,
very
okay.
the campaign is very short too, so that's another thing, you know.
Yeah.
And the story is okay, but the thing is that the campaign is really short. So there are like it's insane. Like I don't know, I just feel insane getting picky about it. But it's like there are moments in this game where there's downtime, and you can feel there's downtime coming.
Okay.
And this is like a perfect moment for these characters to like have like a conversation, you know? and they
Sure.
just don't have them.
Okay. Well, here's your problem: that you're thinking of that kind of stuff in a Warhammer game. What's
I
wrong with you?
guess.
They're big space marines, and they go and they get their chainsaws and they like kill things.
Yeah,
right?
but the thing is that like I feel like, I feel really strange just even picky, like
Excuse me.
being picky about this stuff, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
while I was playing that game, I'm like, what is this about? In terms of is it about brotherhood? Like
Yeah.
brotherhood of like Warhammer, like the what they called the blue space marines, prime.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I have no idea.
Yeah, whatever. The,
Guys.
the blue guys. The
Those
blue
guys are
space
just
Mar-
space marines. In
Yeah,
my
they're
head.
just space marines, basically. Yeah, is it like because he's betrayed and but he then works his way? Then it turns out they, it's like it's so. It
So
has
are you,
like
so are you saying there wasn't
seedling.
much of like a narrative arc to it?
it somewhat has that, but it's such a simple arc for a.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like a child's story. It's like a children's
Okay.
like little like you should trust in your brothers or whatever.
Is
like
this like? So are you saying it's sort of like an Alan Moore sort of? Do you want to complain about it in the Alan Moore sense, where it feels like you're playing like a kid's game, but with lots of blood and violence and gore and swearing and stuff?
maybe I guess.
Is that
I
what
don't
kind
know.
of the feel? Like it's not like it's like as a toy you're enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
As like something that feels
that
like
is-
it's narratively fulfilling or mentally fulfilling. It's kind of not getting you with that.
yeah. It's like it's something like that, a little bit like that. It's even gameplay wise, the actual fighting. It feels, and I get they're big. Space Marine are big.
Yeah.
And they should feel a little bit like heavy and clunky.
Sluggish.
But the thing about it is that like I clunky and I'm heavy and clunky and whatever, and then I get a cutscene of them basically nearly doing backflips and storming around and moving smoothly and fucking like like fluidly going from one hit to another to a dodge to a and I'm like, so what the fuck are we doing here? Like what are these like? Because I get them, like I get the idea that the Space Marines are should be kind of like agile in a way in the combat sense, because they like Titus literally is 400 years old, so it's
Okay.
like he's
Seems a
got
bit old, but sure.
400 years of experience, so it's like so it's that's the thing. It's it's really strange looking at videos, people talking about this game, and reviewers talking about trying to kind of say that the game is good, but they can't really say what's good about it. It's like really weird. You know what I mean? Like, so that's
Well,
the thing. I don't know.
I saw PC Gamer getting a bit of flack because they gave it like an okay score.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, it seems okay. But then they were like Star Wars Outlaws. They also gave basically the exact same okay level score, but it was like 2 or 3 points higher.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, okay, I see how it is. Yeah.
The thing about it is that, like, and by the way, another thing, this is just the music sucks balls.
The music sucks.
It's bad. It's like
because you guys are gonna play some in a bit after we're finished recording. I'm excited to come and see.
I'm watching this game. Like there were moments in this game where I was like, you know what? The thing is that I am being picky again here because Darktide set a bar for a soundtrack.
Darktide did have good music. Darktide had cool music.
I think it set a bar for me for what someone can do for a soundtrack for 40K. That this is so bland and generic, this soundtrack, that like there were moments when I was like literally like, I'm gonna focus on the soundtrack for a bit, and I it's the same like looped, like like a very
like kind of
orchestral kind of like epic,
triumphant,
like,
epic
and it's
music
like
as you're fighting the hordes of bug guys, Tyranids.
And it's like, it's like, the thing is that, like, there is nothing wrong with a 7 out of 10 game.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Is your issue that you feel a bit crazy because people are giving it like 9 out of 10 vibes?
Yes!
Yeah, okay.
That's the issue here, right?
Right. I get it.
And
I get that. I've had experiences like that before, so I understand where it's like people are going crazy over something, but for you, at least personally, you're like looking at it and trying it, and you're like, it's okay.
yeah, it's okay.
It's fine.
That's the thing. It's a okay game, and that's the thing. If it didn't have the like veneer, right, of the Warhammer 40k, it wouldn't. I don't think people would like this game as much,
Yeah,
Like,
if it was like a more generic.
yeah.
Not that there's anything that isn't as generic as like the general Warhammer vibe.
Okay, yeah.
But if it was like, or I guess not generic, but if it was a non-franchise thing, if
Yeah.
it wasn't part of like a greater brand that people were already invested in before
Yeah.
the game was made. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a and that's the thing. It's like and as a contrast to that which is a game that feels like it's been made 13 years ago, but it just looks really nice. I've been playing a game that's actually been, I think, even
the
longer.
game you were going to start talking about?
The even older game, I think. Actually, let me look it up while I'm talking. The Saboteur on, like, I think the original
wasn't
Xbox
that
3.
like a PS3 and 360?
Yeah.
Right?
The Saboteur was made for the 360 and
Were you
PS3.
like a saboteur
Yeah.
in France in like World War II?
2009. Well, that's quite a long while ago now.
Yeah, 15 years old,
yeah.
bro.
And I'm playing that game,
Half your
and
damn
I'm
life.
I'm playing that game, and it's awful. Like, the port on the PC is fucking so
Yeah.
bad. Like, but I'm playing this game, and I'm like, there's so many like little mechanics and stuff. Other stuff that just is like, the game looks like garbage because it's been made in 2009. But it has such a like character to it. It has like the black and white. Like, we would drive from a district to district, and like the ones that are controlled by the Nazis are black and white, and you drive into the liberated, revitalized areas of Paris that you kind of helped drive to rebel, and they turn into color. It's got real tiny mechanics.
I forgot it had that sort of artistic. I've never played it. I've only ever seen like some videos about it, but
and it has like
I forgot it had
little and that's another thing that I'm missing in Space Marine too, which is like mechanics, like systems. The game feels very basic as a video game, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Have you done any of the PvP?
No, actually, that's another thing. Maybe that's what they focused on.
Maybe it's maybe you'll try it and you'll be like, oh, okay, the PvE
I get
is
it
like
now.
is like a shell to hold PvP stuff.
That's
essentially.
true, because I've tried the co-op stuff, and that was basically the same as the campaign, but with your buddies.
That makes sense that it would be basically the same as the campaign.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing about the Saboteur,
But there's so much customization. You can make your guy look like a little figure that you have.
can make him yellow, because a lot of the paint schemes are very simple and basic, because that's the way they were in the box sets, because they were like, oh, this is a chapter, they're yellow.
This is basically the exact same guy, but you paint him green.
Yeah, green, and he's a chapter that you can obsess about and have read an entire wiki entry about. But another thing about the Saboteur that was really funny to me was I thought I could go into the settings and turn the graphics to whatever, or like the resolution. Of course, those don't exist. They're outside of. You have to go into like the files to edit that. Yeah. But I opened it and I was like, I went to gameplay and there was like nudity set to off. To censored, and I scrolled down and I pressed enable nudity, and the character in the game, like the main, goes, "That's what I'm talking about." And I was like, all right.
That's classic 2009.
And
And I was
gaming
like,
humor right
thank you
there.
for acknowledging that I'm a pervert. I want to see it. It's in the
That's
video
like
game.
there was a room at fucking THQ or wherever they made this game where the director is playing like a build of it and he's like messing around with the game settings and he presses that and he's like, I feel like the main character should be like nice or something,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, that would be funny. That'd be easy to put in.
Yeah. And I
Like
was
a
just
sound
like,
cue that's just unique and stupid.
I just made me laugh to acknowledge the
Yeah.
fact that I'm a pervert for turning it on.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's a interesting game. It's
It's a
you know. And
Well, I
it's-
guess to bridge it over a bit, yeah.
You got
to
anything?
my week?
Mhm.
I'm still playing XCOM Chimera Squad.
He's
I'm
chimera.
now at a point where my units are quite strong and very capable, and I feel pretty strong and capable. So I'm like, okay, I feel like I must be getting close to the end, maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. But I enjoy it. I don't know if you know anything about Chimera Squad, but
You got aliens on your
think
side, right?
well, it's the most recent game in the XCOM canon.
Yeah.
So XCOM 1 is like aliens invade. XCOM 2 is it's 30 years later, and it turns out humans lost.
Yeah.
Because the events of XCOM 1 were actually you getting kidnapped by the aliens and used to
You get rescued
feed
at the
information.
beginning. Yeah, you
yeah,
get
and then at the
rescued.
beginning of XCOM 2 they rescue you and then you fight in the shadows,
Mhm.
You're going around trying to liberate the Earth. And then you do, and you beat the Advent or whatever and send them away.
Yeah.
This game is supposed to be set like 5 or 10 years later or whatever, where it's like all the aliens that are kind of left on the planet who are still here and all the hybrids and stuff are getting integrated into society properly, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the Chimera Squad. You're not police. You're like a secret enforcement thing for like dealing with like remnant cells from the XCOM wars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's 3 enemy factions in the game that you take out one by one. Like the first one I did, the Sacred Coil, are like mostly like hybrids and aliens, and it turns out that they've got this like secret portal and they're trying to like bring back power to
Cthulhu.
the aliens and
Yeah.
stuff, The next one I started is like a more human based sort of cell of people that are like
Alien
with-
supremacists or something like that.
they're the opposite, who like more like against aliens.
Okay.
But I think it's interesting because it's like it's very clearly there's a certain aspect of it where it's like it does feel like it's not even made in the XCOM 2 engine because there are just certain things that are like not right about it, Like saving feels entirely different.
Okay.
Like I'm playing on an Iron Man run, so it's supposed to save after every decision, which in XCOM 2 when you do an Iron Man run, it does save after every single decision,
Yeah. Yeah.
You make a choice in the like macro, like I want to build this thing and it saves, or in the
Yeah.
game you're like I fire a gun at this guy and it saves. In Chimera Squad it doesn't. It saves like every round.
Okay.
And it doesn't feel like roles are seeded like they are in XCOM 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
you can kind of like reload
Cheese it
and
a little
get
bit,
a
yeah.
different outcome. Not that I do, because I'm not like having really
Yeah.
any trouble in
Yeah.
the first place. Because
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
a little bit easy so far.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I'm just got a good seed, a good run going. I
Yeah.
don't know. But it's interesting because
Maybe
you have
you're goated with the sauce. Have you
I
heard
might be
on-
goated on XCOM now. I might be the best XCOM player. I'm playing on normal difficulty. But, but yeah, it's interesting mechanically. When it came out, it was like really cheap because it is ostensibly just
Yeah, it's like a
it was like in the
spin-off.
middle of and it was in the middle of like the lockdown and stuff, and I think they were just like just put it out. They put out this little spin-off game that's like a bit different and a little bit clunky, but it's got some interesting mechanics. It's more like encounter based.
Mm-hmm.
So
Can
as
you
opposed
can you romance the aliens in this one?
No, that would be
Oh,
cool
that's a
if you
shame.
could. There
That's
is
a
so
shame.
I do kind of like it. The writing's kind of corny and not amazing, but it's supposed to be sort of cheesy at times, I think. There's a lot of like, because you get recruits as you go, you don't make your own guys. You get like there are a specific pool of characters that you can recruit from.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of interesting character interactions and stuff between missions and during missions as well. Little like call outs and stuff. I like it. I like it. I think it's a little bit more divisive because it is a little weird. The art direction isn't amazing, and it's not the best XCOM game, obviously. But it's interesting that how they tried different things with it. I like it. I'm liking Chimera Squad. I think I'll probably finish it maybe this week or next week. If I'm being honest.
Nice.
Started up Monster Hunter World again. That game's good, obviously.
Yeah, I
through
like
that.
that's the thing with Monster Hunter games is that like I got really into Monster Hunter at one point, and I did really
You went
like
to Monster Hunter Worlds, didn't you?
no both of them like the
No, I
Monster
know, but
Hunter
the one
World.
you got really into first.
Oh
was
yeah,
Worlds,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember I played the Monster Hunter game on a PSP when I was like a kid,
Yeah.
and I didn't really speak English at the time, so it was impossible to play basically.
yeah.
Yeah, and I remember
that.
just remember having to burn meat, like burning meat, because I didn't know what that the sound cue was the thing where you had to supposed to stop. Basically, that's how you were supposed to stop it. But yeah, it was just like it was so. But yeah, my first like proper experience was with World. Got into it. And then I got to the DLC. What's it called? The
Iceborne.
Iceborne, and I got my shit rocked by that panther dragon. Like he's like a white.
I haven't done
And-
the deal. I don't know
Yeah,
the DLC.
and I cried. Like I cried. Like that was a moment where I was like, I can't do this. And the thing is, maybe if I had friends to play with, maybe then I could have actually fucking done it. But I was trying to solo it, and I was.
I'll
and
give you a shout when I get to that point.
it was a filter. Apparently, a lot of people get filtered on him on that particular. I don't know. I would have to look him up, but because he was also in the next one. What was it called? The next one, the Switch one.
Monster Rising.
Rising. Yeah, he was also in Rising. He's
didn't
not
play
as
that
hard in Rising.
Well,
So-
that's what they do with a lot of them. Is that
Yeah.
they'll put in some old ones, and put them earlier in the game, and they'll be a bit easier just because that's like, oh, you're supposed to be playing the story mode,
Mm-hmm.
But then other ones, when they bring them back later on, it's like, nah, this guy's gonna kick your ass.
Yeah,
This guy's gonna kill you many times.
Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to Wilds, I think, because
Well,
it's supposed to
out
be
early next year. Yeah.
it's supposed to be a lot more open worldly, it seems. So that would be interesting.
It'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and get back into it because another thing that I always forget is the movesets. You just completely forget them. They just completely fall out of my fucking brain every single
I've
time.
you've been using the Switch Axe.
Yeah,
this
that's the
time
one that
around.
I was
haven't
using.
used it before. I usually use the insect glaive, but I'm liking it. It's cool. I tried a couple different weapons that I hadn't really used before
He
because I
was
wanted
called
to try something new.
he was called Barrioff. That's the one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tried a couple different weapons, but I like the ones that feel really like they've got good range and good like flow to them. Like I like the way the insect glaive feels when you're like swinging it around. I like the way the switch axe feels when you're swinging it around, but like the hammer and the big great sword and stuff, it's just like I feel so slow and like specific and like I want to be able to hit things with wide swings and stuff,
Yeah.
Not,
The thing that I liked
not the
about the
little
Switch
things.
Axe is that you have those moves that allow you to slide. Like between switches, I think you can like do a little slide where it just moves you just slightly, but enough to like get yourself out of the way, and then you can immediately go into like an attack. That's why I really like the Switch Axe, and also it's a thinking man's weapon.
It's a bit, there's the
thinking
meat that you
man's
put on
weapon.
top. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. Outside of that, I haven't been playing much. I guess to transition into the movies, we'll talk about. I'll talk about whatever I watched last week. X-Men Last Stand. That movie still sucks. That was the first X-Men movie I saw. I saw it in the cinema. I think that's the first time I saw like a 12 in cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh man, this is scary." And it opens up really heavy, with the kid cutting off, Angel cutting off his wings and stuff. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is so gross."
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the movie sucks, and everybody keeps dying constantly. They kill off so many characters. Yeah, no, that movie has not aged at all, really, because it's still bad. It's not that it hasn't aged well. It hasn't changed at all. It was not a very good movie then, but it's still not a good movie. And it's funny. It's so funny that John Marsden dies so early on, because both Bryan Singer didn't direct this one. He directed the first two. He didn't direct this one because he was going to go on and do Superman Returns. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be the big Superman vehicle for the 2000s. This is it. Superman's back in Superman Returns. And you know who's playing him? Cyclops, John Marsden. So he dies early on. He has no scenes with anybody except for Jean Grey. He dies in like the first 10 minutes of the film because he's like, I'm gonna go fuck this. I'm gonna go be Superman. Fuck Cyclops. I'm gonna bring Superman back. And then Superman Returns came out and it was dog shit. It was a shitty movie.
Have I
liked
even watched that? I don't believe I have, honestly.
I've seen bits of it. I remember it was a movie because my dad really liked the classic Superman films.
Yeah.
He got a bootleg copy of it early.
Nice.
And he was trying to watch it, but it was so poorly encoded on a DVD that basically any time you interacted with it, sometimes it would just send you straight back to the main menu of the DVD, and you'd have to start the film over again. And if you pressed any button on the remote, there was a small chance it would take you back to the main menu where you'd have to start the film all over again.
No, it's like it was the cinema
So he spent
cut of
an entire afternoon trying to watch this movie. Yeah, no, it was not.
It was a cinema cut. It was, you start it and you watch it and you just let it play.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
Determined.
So X-Men was still bad. And there was a new TV show that started last Monday from Brian Jordan Alvarez. He's been in a couple things, small roles, but you might remember him from his TikToks, where he sings about sitting is the opposite of standing and such.
I don't know.
Comments. You know that song? I think I showed it to you where he's like, I read it in the comment.
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
He's got a sitcom on FX, Disney Plus,
Mm-hmm.
called The English Teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 2 episodes came out last week. It's pretty good. I like it.
Okay. Well.
I'm gonna keep watching. I'll give it a thumbs up. There's a vibe to it of like it feels like an older sitcom, but modern, obviously, because it's about like a gay English teacher and stuff in Texas, and the kids are like this generation, like teenagers, high school kids. The dialogue's funny, it's well written. I think the only issue I had, at least with the first couple episodes, is I feel like it's edited in a way that's supposed to be a bit like rapid fire jokes, kind of like a 30 Rock, kind of like really quick small jokes and stuff that are constantly being thrown at you.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's really working in this show. It kind of, the jokes feel a bit too big for that kind of thing, and they end up feeling like they don't get the right amount of room to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
But that aside, it's a charming show. I like it. It feels like a return to a more classic era of sitcom. An aughts maybe era sitcom.
Like,
I like it. Thumbs up.
What's it called? College stuff. What's that one called? Community sort of thing.
I would say even maybe a bit pre-Community.
Okay.
It's not like a sitcom in a like a 2-camera format. It's not like a Frasier style sitcom,
Mm-hmm.
but it is like I guess it's like a Community in that it's like a single camera sitcom. No laugh track or anything, just like a regular sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it so far. I'd give it a thumbs up. There's 2 episodes out on Disney Plus, I think, and I think another one comes out tonight.
All right.
Check
You
it out.
recommend? Okay.
I would recommend. I'd recommend.
No.
I'd recommend. Yeah.
Uh,
But otherwise, I guess we can just talk about what we both watched.
yeah.
2
Let's
movies this week.
talk about 4 movies that we watched.
Essentially,
Kind of.
we watched 2 movies from this year. I feel like both flew under the radar a little bit.
I saw Kinds of Kindness being advertised somewhere, but I had no idea it was like what do you call it? Like
An anthology.
Anthology. I didn't hear anything about that for some reason.
It's a
Somehow.
triptych. It's a triptych.
There you go. Yeah.
You know,
Triptych,
well,
yeah.
I know it's an anthology, but it's a triptych in that it's like 3 movies. You know,
That are kind of connected. Like they
yes,
try to
they
be.
have a bit of a connection.
Yeah.
A triptych originally. I had to look it up again. I looked it up before for a different film. I can't remember what it is,
Mhm.
but a triptych is like an old style of painting, where it's like 3 images that kind of fold in on each other. You know.
Mhm. Okay.
So you open it up and it's 3 separate paintings that kind of
Mhm.
tell a story, you know? One like a beginning, middle, and third act.
And then
know?
you fold them, and then it's a penis. It turns into
Yep,
a penis,
exactly,
and then you
it
unfold
turns into
them.
a
It's
penis.
not. It's a vagina.
Yeah,
Then you
it's
fold
like
them,
a-
it's a penis.
It's like a guy with a big nose and weird eyes, and then
Yes.
you fold it in,
Yes.
and it turns into a big penis.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess we'll talk about Kinds of Kindness first. 'Cause
Yeah.
we also watched Bullman. I feel like both films kind of flew under the radar a bit. Yorgos Lanthimos had a lot of buzz around him for Poor Things that came out, you know, late
Yeah.
last year, early this year for the UK. And then it was interesting that immediately after that, it was like, June, Kinds of Kindness is our new film. And it was like, huh? What? And it definitely doesn't feel like a super high budget film. Like it's 15 million. It's like 3, not even short films. You know what? I'm reminded of 2 things when I watched this film.
Mm-hmm.
First of all was Todd Solondz. It feels a little Todd Solondz. Both in the narratives, but also the structure. It feels a bit like Wiener Dog, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. It does.
Quite a bit like that. Both in its like style of dark humor, you know,
Mhm.
but also in its structure a little bit, where everything's kind of loosely connected around this one guy whose initials are RMF. You don't really know who he is, but he connects all 3 in some weird way for some reason.
Mhm.
And then the other thing I was thinking of is Satoshi Kon, Paranoia Agent.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole deal with Paranoia Agent is it's a TV show in which Kon had lots of ideas for stories, you know, lots of ideas for stories that he wanted to tell, but none that he could really like flesh out to feature length.
Yeah.
You know, so he connected them all loosely in this TV show that explores a lot of different things, but each one is like its own story that he wanted to tell but couldn't make a full feature film out of. And I think Kinds of Kindness is a lot of that here, where I can see it being 3 individual ideas that Yorgos Lanthimos and its co-writer Efthimis Philippou probably had these 3 ideas for stories, but I mean, they already feel pretty stretched out in this. Each one is like 50 minutes almost. So they already feel pretty stretched out just for this film. But it's like connect 3 of them and have like a bit of a triptych. They all have sort of some connecting themes between them, you know?
Yeah.
About sexuality and belief. All 3 of them have like a lot of theming around like belief, you know?
Yeah.
Religious, but also atheistic, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah. But that's my intro to the films. What did you think, Max? Kinds of Kindness.
I guess the thing is I struggle to say like this is like out of all the 3 I was like this, I like this one the most or something like that. I feel like I can't like go and say like, you know, it's a bit weird talking about it in terms of, I don't know, man. Like in terms of like,
You good?
they seem separate, but very separate at the same time. You know, they might have like the follow through of the theming, right, that they have, but at the same time, it does feel like they're very different ideas. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're all like wildly different narratives, but they have very similar theming. Like, you know, the first one is about a guy whose life is run for him until he's asked like to do something fucked up, like very fucked up, to have the opportunity to take another guy's life, and he says no, I don't want to do it. So he gets shut out of this guy who's been running his life for him, and then his life kind of goes off the rails because he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
He wants to get back in, and he's trying desperately to find a way to get back in. The second one is about a guy whose wife is like a marine biologist, goes missing on a research trip. And then when she comes back, she's kind of different. He stops trusting her. He starts to believe that you know, it's not something. She's something else. She's not his wife. And it seems that way. You know, it gets very strange. And then the third one is about a cult who's trying to find a Christ-like figure, essentially. You know?
Yeah.
A very specific woman with very specific. It's kind of a prophecy around her. She's gonna be a twin. Her sister twin died.
Dead. Yeah.
She's gonna be like this tall. She's gonna have these measurements, and she's gonna be able to like heal wounds, and bring people back from the dead. But it follows two people who are part of this cult who are on the search for this person, and one of them gets kicked out of the cult, and is then still trying to find them to find a way back in to that old life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree where it's like, I don't think I can pick one that is my favorite. They're all very interesting, and they all go in directions I'm never expecting, you know? They're all very slow, and they're all very, like, kind of tense, you know? They've all got this tensity to them that is, like, a little stressful. But I can't think of one that I prefer more than the others. I think they all equally strong, like short stories in themselves. I don't know. I like them.
Yeah, definitely. I like the, you know, the heightened reality of stuff. Especially the second one has like the most kind of out there in terms of like, you know, she comes back.
Yeah,
then the ending of
strange.
and then I was kind of laughing because I was like, oh, this is a Solaris style story.
Yeah, okay.
Because you know, having like a topple, was it tulpa of a person, you know, but at the same time, is it like his he sees her and it's like he gets a vision of his actual wife coming back, you know, but it's not. It didn't happen. Or maybe it did, you know. Like that's
it's interesting because it's like it's got this whole subplot about dogs as masters. You know?
Yeah, and it has the outro too.
Dogs are the humans,
and has the outro playing.
Yeah, and the whole outro is like dog
rainbow
world
in the dark, and then it's like a world run by dogs, and there's a person run over in the street like a dog would be, and it's like it's like interesting.
And the whole dream about how dogs can't eat chocolate, so they gave the chocolates to humans, but she doesn't like chocolate until eventually she realized that sometimes you gotta eat something that you don't like, you know. The middle one is definitely the strangest, but yeah, there is a sense of, like you said, heightened reality, sort of a strange, fantastical, absurd element to all of them. Like in the third one, she does find like the the cult is right.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah, exactly.
There is a woman that can
yeah.
bring people back to life, and
Yeah.
she finds her, and then she ends up getting her killed.
Yeah, out
Right
of
at the end.
like
They have
desperation.
that awesome scene where Emma Stone is dancing because she's like, "I did it! I found
Yeah.
I found our Messiah." and then
She's
she
default
crashes the car,
dancing.
and
Yeah, she's default dancing.
crashes the
instead of-
car, and she dies.
Yeah, at a fucking like a boat like part like a dealer, which is like
Yeah.
goes back to the idea of water and stuff, and that's where she was supposed to bring her is to that boat that they were showing her in the middle of that movie, and it's kind of like it's very upsetting. Like the third one, I feel like is the most kind of
Yeah, she does get
because like
content
it's-
warning, sexually assaulted.
yeah, it's very like all these movies are very kind of like upsetting in a.
I think that's Yorgos Lanthimos' like thing though.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
likes he's very provocative, you
Yeah.
know.
In-
Which I don't think he's doing it for the sake of being provocative, but there is a sense of like joy. I feel like there's a sense of joy for him of people watching this and being and squirming, you know.
yeah,
Like there's that great scene in the second one where you get blindsided by where before his wife comes back and he's depressed, he's miserable, he's just waiting to hear about the outcome of his wife, and he invites his friend, his other police officer like partner over and his wife, and he's like, "Can we watch a video? Can we watch one of the old videos, like a small one?" And they're like, "I don't think it'd be appropriate. We really don't want to." And then eventually they relent because he's just so depressed. And then you cut to them awkwardly sitting on a sofa watching a home video of the four of them fucking.
Yeah,
having
definitely,
like a group sex, wife swap sort of thing with each other.
It's
And it's like that's funny. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's a good joke. Yeah.
It's interesting to like because like that's the thing, it's like it seems like this situation, like it's trying to kind of show how, like, the thing about it is that it's like, oh, it's a weird situation, right? But at the same time, it is something they created together, and it is a very kind of awkward situation. So we as audience might go like, oh, this is very weird, you know. But at the same time, it is something that they made, you know. It isn't you know, and then it does kind of not taint, but it you know, when he also starts derailing, like the main character in the second, he starts derailing, and you're like, you know, are they just like weird, you know? Like, is this something that they just do, you know?
I mean, like, if we take the short at face value, T is correct in that his wife is being replaced by some kind of strange, tulpa, like you said.
Exactly.
And then at the end, he tricks her into killing herself, I guess.
Yeah,
which brings back the real wife.
Yeah.
But who's to say whether, because there's a sense of like you don't know whether this guy is insane or not.
Yeah,
because he
like,
starts to go. There's an idea of him spiraling. I guess you know. I guess a lot of them have a lot to do with like people spiraling out of control.
Yeah, control, just losing control. Exactly.
Yeah, losing control of their lives and their future.
There is that point of like, and it's like there's seeds of like doubt where it's very smart. I think it's like there's a bit when she comes back the first day and she's putting on the shoes and he's like, and they don't fit. But then later on she talks about, oh, I'm pregnant, you know, and as we know, like it's a kind of feet swell. You know, when you become like pregnant, you know, and stuff like that. Right. So maybe that could have just what could have happened.
I don't think feet swell. I don't think that's a sign of pregnancy. I think the feet swelling is an outcome of having extra weight suddenly.
I don't know.
I don't think it's just like. I don't think it's a symptom. I thought it was
like a hormonal thing.
I don't think it. Hold on. You know what? Let's find out. Thanks to Google. Why do feet swell when pregnant? Swelling is caused by your body holding more water than usual when you're pregnant. Throughout
Oh.
the day, the extra water tends to gather in the lowest parts of the body, especially if the weather is hot or you have been standing a lot. The pressure of your growing womb can also affect the blood flow in your legs.
Then we don't know in the end. It's I guess it's an assumption
Hold
that I
on.
made.
Okay. When do feet swell?
Yeah,
when
that is
pregnant?
a good point. Yeah.
Starting with week 28 of pregnancy, the third trimester is by far the most common time to
Yeah,
experience
so that
swollen
would
feet.
be a
Yeah,
lot
okay,
later
so-
in the pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might not necessarily be a correlation, but I think that's a fair point. That's a fair thing to bring up, either way. But yeah, it's supposed to be about him. Yeah, so by the end, although we're shown she's cut her own liver out to appease him and thus killed herself, and then his real wife comes back, there is a sense of like, is he just does it start with something small that then grows and grows, where it's like it's just the bare thing of like her eating chocolate when he's so sure like she hates chocolate that it just spirals from there, or is she not the real person? You don't really know. You don't really know.
That's true. It's just like
There's a scene where she's talking to her dad and she talks about how absolutely devoted to him he is. So but is that enough that she would cut out her own liver and kill herself for him? I don't know, maybe.
that's maybe, yeah.
Maybe it's a Yorgos Lanthimos film. People are kind of insane in them sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
You can never really tell.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's tough to kind of judge if it's like, oh, if this is real or not, if she's a real person or not, you know. But at the same time, doesn't matter, I guess. But yeah, I feel like the first one is like the least kind of
It's the most grounded.
most
I suppose.
grounded, right?
It's an absurd situation still,
Yeah,
where
you
it's
can-
about Willem Dafoe completely controlling, basically playing with dolls, essentially with people.
Yeah.
He is an arbiter of fate for multiple people, it seems, and he seems to get some sort of entertainment out of that.
Yeah.
And he tasks Jesse Plemons' character with getting in a car crash just cause.
Yeah.
He wants him to be in the hospital for 2 days.
And to
he
kill
has
the other
get there.
person. And to kill the other person.
It's
like
not
the
that
other...
he wants him to kill the other person, but he wants him to not care whether the other person dies, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
Which,
True.
in order to appease him at the end, when he doesn't go through with it, he intentionally kills him, I think, to prove to Willem Dafoe, I've learned my lesson and I will do anything you ask, even if it involves killing somebody, you know? That's another scene where it's like, I think they really, Yorgos Lanthimos really wants you to squirm, where he takes the guy out of the hospital, and then RMF, he takes him out of the hospital and then drives over him like twice.
Yeah.
And you can see like the prosthetic guy they have is like squished and stuff.
Yeah, his chest is like collapsed basically from the way. Yeah, and
it's a bit much.
Yeah, it's really rough.
I don't know the kind of, I don't know if maybe I'm just desensitized to it now or not, but there were a lot of those sorts of moments in this movie where I was just kind of like. I was like glazed over a bit. I'm like, he puts him out in the street and then goes over to his car, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna run him over, and then he runs him over. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, because I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, he's getting in the car. I was like, all right, he's gonna run him over
because he's gonna kill him. He's gonna
It's
kill
so
him.
convenient too, because it's like a little roundabout that you can just drive around and running.
Well,
him
because it's a
over.
hospital, you know.
Yeah,
It's like an
yeah.
ambulance port, so they gotta be able to drive up and get somebody out and then go.
Yeah,
circle around.
or dump him on the street and so they can run him over.
And then at the end, he's back in Willem Dafoe's good books, you know, because he did it. He
yeah,
did it.
and even
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. The thing with this movie is that, like, while it would be interesting to decode all of them, I don't know. I don't know if you really want to spend an hour decoding each individual short in here. But overall, I mean, it's just good movies, well acted, well shot. You know, the writing's interesting and funny. It takes some unexpected turns. It's a little provocative. You know, each story is engaging and absurd and feels very unique. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I'd recommend it.
What do you think RMF stands for?
really mad fucker because he
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah,
He's a really mad fucker.
Real motherfucker. Yeah.
But then at the end, he gets a sandwich.
he gets revived.
He gets revived and he gets to go eat a sandwich.
Yeah, that's what. That's
Is
what I would
is
do.
it the same RMF in each shot? Do you think the helicopter pilot? I know it's the same actor in each one. But
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
literally the same guy each and every time. Could be. I mean, because he dies in the first one.
Yeah, it could be maybe
And then
it's
he's
like
brought back in
flying.
the last
We have
one.
RMF flying, then he dies in the first one, and then the third one they revive him. You know.
Yeah. Maybe.
And he's back. He gets to eat a sandwich. You know.
He gets to eat that sandwich. He gets ketchup on himself.
It's all over himself because as I don't know, blood. I guess it's just like covered in ketchup.
But
yeah,
that's,
it's,
I guess that's a general thumbs up from us for Kinds of Kindness.
it's you don't have to watch it all at the same time. You can just watch one movie and then come back the next day,
guess.
watch another one.
Yeah, I guess if you can view
If you're,
one act of a story.
Yeah,
and
if
then
you're
view another act separately.
if you're a weak man, you know, you're not as a consumer brain as us, you know, willing to just sit there, you know. But you know, we have time to now talk about another movie that we see.
So yeah, I think Kinds of Kindness was a film where it's like we can talk about the content of the film, but outside of that, we're just kind of like it's another good. They gave Yorgos Lanthimos more money because they wanted to, and he made another pretty good film. So you know, there you go, end of thing. Whereas this one, it's like content-wise, what do we say about Pool Man? What do you say about
LA, I don't know.
There are some crazy people in LA, I guess.
Yeah, they're all weird. Weird
People in LA are kind of strange.
I guess you can live in LA in the trailer pretty easily. It doesn't seem to make a lot of money to live in LA.
I feel like I've seen a lot of motels in media, never in real life.
I don't think it's
I've
a
never
motel.
seen it was like a motel.
I guess, but it's like
All right, okay.
apartments,
Well,
I'm pretty
you
sure.
know what? If you're gonna have a problem with the language, okay, let
It's
me
called an
rephrase this.
old apartment complex. I see on the Wikipedia.
Either way, okay. I've seen a lot of those kinds of buildings
Yes.
in media.
Yes.
Motels or like those sorts of cheap apartment complexes in America in media. I've never seen one where the pool has like its own pool guy house.
Okay. Yeah, me neither.
Surely the manager of the apartment block takes care of the pool. And
Yeah, or
not a
he
guy
hires
living in a
somebody.
trailer next to a pool. Right?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
I feel like maybe someone. I genuinely don't know.
Max,
I
pause.
think
Pop quiz. What happens in this movie?
in this
Tell me,
movie,
what is this movie about?
This movie is about Los Angelinos getting their gentrification of their world and how evil housing associations try to buy up land, but they don't really want to build affordable housing. They want to steal water from the Los Angeles people, and yeah, that's what it's about. It's about Chinatown. That's what it is. Chinatown.
Yeah, so there's a big thing of this movie is here's what I think the movie is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about a conspiracy theorist type guy who sees connections where they don't exist.
Oh, you're okay.
And him
I get it.
accidentally, by doing this, stumbling on an actual conspiracy.
Okay, I get
But
you.
I think the issue with the way it's told is that you're never really supposed to find any of his connections compelling. So even from the outside, you're just constantly confused because you're like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
I feel like if you were to do this movie, you need to at least be able to put yourself in the shoes of the pool man, Darren Barronman, and his strange connections that he's making, that although they aren't true, they do lead him on the path to an actual problem, you know? And then...
He doesn't even get led, like... There's the thing about it is that he does, investigate a conspiracy, but it's a character comes to him going like, there's this conspiracy, I want you to look into this, Yeah.
Yeah.
It isn't him doing the investigating, I don't know what you know what I mean.
No,
like
no,
he's
'cause
not
he's-
out there. Like
no, because the lady comes up and tells him,
yeah,
hey, there's a conspiracy going on. But instead of investigating the conspiracy how she tells him to, because the twist is that she's trying to set him up as a patsy, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Instead of him doing that, he just kind of does his own thing
Yeah.
independently, and it ends up working out because he doesn't become a patsy.
yeah. Because
But then also, his friend all along was a FBI agent.
Yeah, because she tells him like
Secretly.
you need to go to this old mule bar or something,
The old
and
mule bar.
but he just
right?
doesn't do it. So
He
just
doesn't do it for a very long time. He eventually does.
Yeah,
Because that's where the councilman does his Golden Girls
Yeah.
routine.
yeah.
And then when he does eventually turn up, he gets framed for assassinating the councilman.
yeah, exactly.
Which doesn't matter, because in the end, his best friend was an FBI agent the whole time.
yeah,
And was already on the case.
He was
and
already
I
on
guess
the
they
case.
were using him to
yeah,
do
I
something. This movie sucks,
This
man.
movie sucks really bad.
This movie's
yeah.
really bad. It's kind of it's not even entertaining in a bad way. It's kind of astounding how bad this movie is.
Yeah,
I
like that.
think.
The thing is that I've watched this movie. Like I've messaged you. I was like saying like there's talking. There's just so much dialogue in this movie.
There is, yeah.
And
That's what I'm talking about,
I'm
yeah.
listening to like exactly like you listen. I'm like trying to interpret what they're saying, and I can't. Like it's so
The whole
weird.
point is that he meditates and he thinks up connections that don't exist and
what's-
stuff. He's
yeah.
constantly thinking up stuff. And we as the viewer, I think, are supposed to see that and think that he's maybe onto something. But
Mm-hmm.
then in actuality, the punchline is he was wrong the entire time, but he stumbled into something greater.
Yeah.
But instead, what happens, you watch 80% of the movie, you're kind of like, what's going on? Why do they keep talking about Chinatown?
Yeah. I guess
Why
because it has to do with water.
Chris Pine
and it has to
really likes
float in the-
Chinatown, I guess.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, all of this stuff, it's like...
It turns out the actual thing is Ray Wise, who turns up like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
It turns out that he's trying to kill his wife so he can get control of an almond
The
plantation.
almond, yeah.
And that's it.
And they
it's
need water because almonds
they need water
drink
'cause
a lot
the
of
almond
water.
trees take a lot of water.
Yeah.
So they're taking water from an aquifer underneath a housing complex that
Yes.
they didn't tell the government about.
Mm-hmm. They're like stealing it basically.
This whole
from the
time they
aquifer.
keep talking about how there's a drought and there's no water. But
Yeah.
the weird thing is that even with the aquifer, that doesn't mean there isn't a drought. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
There's still a drought. It's not raining. You've
Well-
just found like an extra surplus of water that you can drain until
Yeah, and
you're
the
back
people
to
didn't
square
know.
one.
And the thing about it is that like they say specifically that it's the biggest aquifer that they didn't know about. Like this was kept a secret by the evil people in the movie. You know,
The
so
FBI had been on them for a long time.
yeah.
They had an undercover agent who was Chris Pine's best friend in the film.
Can you tell me, Danny DeVito and the lady, like, what are they his parents? They're not,
Annette Bening.
right?
I think that was the thing. Because they act like his parents the entire
Yes,
movie.
and I was
I think
thinking
the
that,
implication
are they,
at
like,
the end is that they're his
found?
adopted parents.
Yeah,
Because it turns out, and it's presented as a
it's
twist
so weird.
when
yeah.
it does. It's not like it's never really addressed in any way
Yeah.
or hidden from us. But he's an orphan.
He gets left near a tree. That's why he saw a tree in his
He
meditations.
keeps having these visions, and every time there's a vision of like a tree and a lizard trying to tell him to remember, but he keeps denying them. He doesn't want to remember it because I guess it's dramatic. And you're left wondering, I wonder what this dramatic event is. And then it turns out he's like, I remember now. I was an orphan, and
Yeah.
it's like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, and it's like,
What-
and at
what-
the end, it's like, and
What?
in the
Huh?
end, I love the people in my life.
Yeah,
and
I
whatever.
love
He's like,
my found family.
my
It's
found
like,
it's like, what does it have
your
to do with
found
the
family.
movie?
There's like 4 people in this film in your found family. One of them is a lady who you didn't seal the deal on,
yeah, and it's so
who ends up
weird,
loving
too.
another guy who's like your only friend, and it's
The
like,
jo- the
and then they're
jokes-
like, we're gonna move away. It's like,
jokes are
what?
so fucking bad in this
The
film.
jokes
Like
are not
there's
good.
like
It's not very
there's
funny.
like the thing with the chicken guy. It's like whoever,
They
and
keep
it's like
talking about Samir, a chicken
Samir,
guy
the
who
chicken
died,
guy. Yeah, and
who
she
used
loved
to
him.
be. I think it's somebody who was important to him, but he refuses to acknowledge how important he was
Yeah.
because he has like a commitment issue, I guess.
Mhm.
And he keeps writing letters to the fictional character Aaron Brockovich throughout the whole film.
Mhm.
For some reason, I don't. The movie doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
This movie's not good.
'Cause
But
he's
what I
like-
find interesting about it is speculating on why did they make this?
Yeah. This
More
seems
why
like
were
a-
people in it? Did Chris Pine just call in every single favor he had?
Maybe.
I don't think he did.
Yeah, why? Yeah, it is rough to see like what did the people like read the script and were like, yeah, I understand this. I'm like, how? Like,
Because
what-
that's what makes me think maybe the script is better than the final project, final
Maybe,
product.
But who would
Maybe it's
rewrite
like you
that?
read it on paper and you're like, oh, this is kind of funny.
Uh-huh.
But then the way it's like something in editing, or it just got really messy when Chris Pine was directing it because it's his
Yeah.
directorial debut, that it ruined everything.
Ruined everything.
I
Yeah.
don't get it. Man.
It's
This
another thing.
movie
It's
is
like
so strange.
I said it to you. I was like, did I just not get this movie because I'm not from LA? Like I'm not a Los Angelinos or whatever you want to call me.
I don't think. Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
That's what I think. I
It's-
don't get that because I feel like
Angelino,
this doesn't make
there you
sense.
go.
The thing I
Yeah.
kept thinking throughout is like, it feels a bit like a Coen Brothers film.
Yes,
Like it
it's
feels
trying
like
to
Chris
be.
Pine kind of wanted to make a Coen Brothers esque mystery, like
But
a la the Big Lebowski was a big
Yeah,
one.
but
I was
it's
thinking
not. It's not even
of. A bit
near.
like Fargo mixed with the Big Lebowski or something,
Yeah,
or it's
but the
about
thing-
the dude style guy, but he gets wrapped up in this big.
But
like,
there is
I suppose there's a conspiracy in the Big Lebowski.
As you were
but, like, more
describing
of a
this
Fargo
movie,
type crime.
this movie there is a movie like this that already exists, and it's
What's it
300 times better, and it's called
What is
Under the Silver Lake.
Yeah, that was another film I was thinking of a lot
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, there's yeah, definitely, because Under the Silver Lake has a similar thing of like
Yeah,
you start to believe the threads that the character is making, you know, the conspiracy ideas that he's having about what's going on, you start to buy into it. But in this film he keeps rambling about all these different conspiracies and stuff.
yeah,
And they keep talking about this documentary about him that Danny DeVito's making.
yeah. It's like, and then they play it at the end. It's
And then at the it's like, but then they're there at the end when they come to arrest Laura Palmer's dad.
yeah, he's there too. Yeah,
He's there filming it,
yeah.
and they're like, it's not. I get that obviously it's supposed
Yeah,
to
but,
be comedic
another
because
thing-
it's like,
yeah.
oh, Danny DeVito's there and he's filming it and he's giving like screen directions to the
Yeah,
FBI guy.
But the thing
But
about
it's
it is
not
that
funny.
like it's not funny, and the thing is that it got me immediately thinking. It was like, what's the rest of this documentary? Because
Like,
I
what
feel
the-
like this is the
what is
only
happening?
scene that they like recorded, you know, in quotations, you know, because like you don't see him working on like
the
except
only
for
other
him like
time you
doing
see
the
him recording a couple things. You see them recording
The tail when they're tailing.
Darren's- No, well, I was going to say first you see him recording Darren's trip to town hall, which apparently he does
Oh.
every single time.
Yeah.
He goes to town hall and makes a big scene every single time
Mhm.
because he argues
crook-
about
cookie
something.
guy. Yeah,
He's
He's
always
like-
arguing about something with the councilman, the mayor,
yeah.
or
It's
whatever.
like you're out of touch with the
Stephen
community. You don't care about the community.
And then
you
he
do-
finds out at the end he's actually is in touch with the community
Yeah.
because early on he's complaining about how I bet you didn't know the bus driver is on maternity leave because she had twins. And then later on when he goes and confronts him at the Golden Girls Club,
Yeah.
he's like, I sent them flowers, by the way. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. And it's like,
Yeah,
then why were you yelling at him?
yeah. It's
What is this movie about, man?
That's the thing is that like
movie is so
honestly, you know the weirdest thing is like I've been watching all this garbage, you know, all this fucking
Mm.
garbage that I watch, and this one was the toughest to like not turn
It's
up.
so strange because there's a
I was-
special kind of badness about this film that's not entertaining. That's just like it feels like Chris Pine. It feels like he doesn't exist.
It's like the thing
It
is,
feels like he's not a celebrity. It feels like he's a guy who wrote a script and got really lucky and they made it, and then it was like, oh, this movie's really bad because this guy doesn't know what he's doing. But I guess you almost expect it to be better because Chris Pine has been working in movies for the last like 15 years,
And it's
20 years, and then this is his big directorial debut film he wrote with this guy Ian Goatler. It seems like he's the one that put all of his money in it. There's no budget. I don't know what the budget for this film is.
We don't want
I
to
can't imagine anybody else. There's like 4 producers in this film, and one of them is Chris Pine, and the other one is the guy he wrote it with.
Jesus.
And then the other 2 are Stacey Sher and Patty Jenkins. I don't exactly know who they are. But it's like, what? And then it comes out, and it's a huge failure.
Yeah. There's just so many weird, like, you got the scene at the end where he escapes the woman that was like trying to make him a patsy. He puts on the like cape. He runs out. He gets onto the scooter. The scooter's got like a French Paris thing, but
chain.
because he talks about taking the girl that he sees in Paris, but there's a guy in the lobby that's
He's
a French guy,
also an undercover agent.
Yeah, he was an undercover, and it's like, but why? I get, like, I guess you want to put this stuff in, but like, what's the point of these connections?
There's a point when Clancy
there is
Brown is talking about synchronicity.
Yes, that's true.
And I think it's almost there to be like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
It just is like, why is he talking about? There's a whole scene. This is like the only time Clancy Brown is in the film, and I still don't understand why he's there.
Yeah, because he's talking about how much he died.
The housing.
Yeah, he talks about how his dream died, and that's why he became what he is now.
He wanted to be an actor, and then he failed. He moved to Hollywood and failed, and then he became a real estate person.
Yeah, he became like a scammy estate agent because he called the number that was like, we buy houses for cash.
Yeah.
He was
like I want to work for you guys.
Yeah,
and now he runs that.
He
stuff.
runs it. Yeah, and
but that's the only time he appears, and from the sounds of it, he isn't even like arrested at the end. It's just Ray Wise who gets arrested, maybe.
Yeah, because he was just a tool that he was being used by him. I don't. This is all very. There's just
it's a bad movie at the end. This movie, it's just a bad movie, and it's like there's nothing. It doesn't feel like there's anything to talk about.
Yeah, it's so strange
within the content of the film itself.
And the pool that he works on is the smallest pool I've seen.
It's
I think for these apartments buildings,
And he keeps meditating.
Yeah.
And being given these visions throughout the film that you're supposed to be wondering, like, what could it mean? And then it just feels like the most inconsequential. Irrelevant. That's the thing at the end of the day. The reveal feels completely irrelevant that you're like, why are you even telling me this?
Yeah.
Why is it important that he's an orphan? You didn't even tell me about it. Like, his origin didn't seem important to any of the stories.
Yeah, none of the plot. Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you're like, the big twist, he was an orphan, and I'm like, what do you mean?
Why do I care?
It's not like I saw his parents. It's not like you set up some kind of fictional backstory for him.
Where
he's an unreliable narrator. You're just like, he never had any parents, and I'm like, okay. So that's all right. Okay. He's like a fucking 45-year-old man. Who cares?
Yeah.
You should be over this by now. Well, how do you forget you're an orphan? How do you not address that you're an orphan?
I guess, what's it called? Like,
it's not like he invented imaginary parents to avoid the hard fact that he was an orphan.
They don't exist. That would be really funny. That would be a pretty good twist where they don't.
That might have been interesting if Danny DeVito and Annette Bening's character just didn't exist.
Yeah,
all along. He invented parents for himself.
Yeah, it turns out he was watching like
Always Sunny when he was a kid. I don't know. It's pretty too old or something. And he was like,
when he
"That's
was a
my
kid
dad."
in the late 80s,
In
early
the 80s,
90s.
yeah. He watched Twins or whatever. I don't
Watched
know.
Matilda. He watched
Matilda. There you go. And he was like, "That's gonna be my dad."
That's my dad. And then at the end, he's the twist. Oh, I was an orphan, and then they fade away.
Yeah, they fade away and they do like a little when they swim in the pool. Yeah. I don't know. It's
But that's the thing I find interesting about this film is
and
in
he's
the,
such a
greater,
the
greater
thing is
context
that
of
like
it,
the
you know?
physical fucking comedy in this movie is so not funny too.
Not very
It's so
good. It's a lot of
forced
Chris Pine just like running around and stuff.
and like
all wacky.
dropping things and
Yeah.
like and when he does like I don't know it. You know what the wait. You know I'm really sorry that I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. This reminds me a lot of the performance of fucking the Moose in the fucking Fanatic by.
I think there's definitely a lot of crossover. That was another movie I thought of a lot as well, where it's like
what is he called?
weird-
John Travolta.
John
in The
Travolta,
Fanatic.
weird passion project, of like just a movie that you watch and you're like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he's just like does like these like
But
ticks.
at
Where
least-
he's like he closes his eyes and like thinks.
Yeah.
It's like what.
Well, at
what?
least in this, I would say if that was Chris Pine's intention, he did a better job of it in this than they did in The Fanatic. The Fanatic is like unwatchable for me because it's so bad. Like
Mhm.
John Travolta trying really hard to pretend to be like heavily autistic.
Yeah,
It's
say
so hard to watch for me. I can't
keeping
stand it.
they kept the cut of the scene where he goes do something stupid while he talks to the mirror, and you're like, why the fuck would they do this? Are they?
I guess the main character of the pool man is kind of like if you had the dude from The Big Lebowski but autistic.
Jesus, yeah, I guess I
I
It's
guess a
so
little bit.
weird.
It's like he's. I feel like he's supposed to have that vibe of like, oh, I'm just a chill guy. I don't care that I don't really have much going on because I'm just relaxing. I do my thing. Instead of bowling, he has his thing. He cleans his pool. And he takes care of his pool. But then on the side of that, the addition to that is that you have the fanatic moose style thing where he's like completely and utterly socially unaware and inept.
Yeah.
And he is like a strange obsession with many different things that
Yeah.
seem irrelevant.
Yeah, and I'm like, there's this
and
like, oh, we got a
intense
tickets.
obsession.
There's bits in this movie where they're like, we got tickets to something gardens, and I'm like, should I know what the fuck that is? Is this a reference to something that should make me laugh?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's was one thing where you're like, I guess you got to be an LA guy to understand that because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I know that location. It's nice.
Yeah.
Or oh, that location is weird. Why would you go there? I don't know.
It's like I don't know. I don't know.
The way you kept saying they got tickets to it makes it sound like it's like a band.
A show or like a band.
Or
I
a
don't
show,
know.
but it
It's-
sounds like it's a location, like a theme park or a,
Yes,
or a
so
museum
weird.
or
It's so-
botanical gardens, I suppose. Really.
Yeah, and it's just so. And this like relationship with his girlfriend is like really weird. Like it's like, I don't know. It's
Well, that's
don't know.
I think that's supposed to be one of the main like things of the movie. One of the main parts of his growth as a character is that early on he's very non-committal to his
Yeah.
people in his life.
yeah,
So early on, she's talking about how I love this guy Samir. In fact, I still, even though he's dead, I still love him intensely.
yeah,
But I can still love other people. And he's like, okay, are you sure? Whatever. She's like, can we get married? And he's like, yeah, I
No.
guess.
yeah,
But then he changes the subject all the time really quickly.
yeah. Because you
And then
don't
she
listen.
ends up falling
That's
for the, who was the guy?
Fake
Wa-
FBI guy, not fake. He's a
Wayne.
real FBI guy. Yeah,
Wayne, the
Ray.
undercover FBI agent in Chris Pine's life. She ends up falling for him, but because he's able to accept that she still loves this guy who's dead,
uh huh.
And also, he's like, yeah, let's move to fucking Inland Empire or wherever fucking place they say. I can't remember.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be a reference to something. Yeah,
It's just another fucking place in California.
Yeah. Name.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't make any. This movie just doesn't make any sense, but not in like any particular avant-garde way. Just in the classic old style of the person who is writing it is not very good at writing
Very good,
it.
yeah.
Or directing it, maybe. I haven't read the script. Maybe you read the script and you're like, oh, I get it, but then just translating that,
This is
translating it
hilarious.
to the mise en scène, it's like you lose something and it doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
It's a bad movie. It's
It's
really
a-
astoundingly bad,
It's
but not in
hard
any
to-
extraordinary sense.
It's
just
hard to, like, for me, it was very hard to try to, like, keep track of what's going on.
Yeah,
For
it
some
was
reason.
hard
It's
for me just
hard-
to pay attention.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's it.
this movie is
It's just
so...
a very interesting movie. Don't recommend watching this at all. Like,
Here's the thing. Watch
I feel like
Pool
if
Man
we're-
if
if
you've
we're-
wanted to see The Big Lebowski meets The Fanatic, then check out Pool Man. But if that idea sounds like the least appealing movie in the world to you, then hey, guess what? You're right on the money. It is
Yeah.
unappealing.
Yeah. I feel like it would literally be a movie where if we were watching it together in the same room, we would just sit there, like going like, "What's going on?"
just
Like we would just go like,
feeling confused.
"What's going on?"
Your
know?
entire brain power being committed to trying to understand what's happening in the film and why. Like, because they go on that big stakeout, but you're like,
It's so
well, first of all,
chaotic.
you're like, why are they going on this stakeout?
Yeah.
Second of all, you're like, why are there so many people here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
Yeah.
get that obviously it's supposed to be comedic that they're
Yeah.
on this stakeout and then they end up having an argument about all of this unrelated stuff because people keep turning up. And Chris Pine's character is like insecure about his relationship to Susan, Jennifer Jason Leigh's character. So it's supposed to be funny, like, oh, they're on this stakeout trying to find out what the councilman's up to, but they keep arguing about all this other completely unrelated shit. It's just not funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really, really
Yeah.
not funny.
And then
like,
there's
at
it's
all.
like I'm gonna shoot them. It's like what the fuck? Like what the fuck is going on?
man.
What was I gonna say? It's just a bad movie. Just don't watch it. Don't waste your time on
I'm
this.
glad we watched it because this is the first movie in a long time where I've really just felt like, oh, this is just like regular old classically bad in that it's just not very well made.
Yeah,
it's just they didn't know what they're doing, or something got lost in translation between script and screen, or I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
what happened. I
that's
can speculate,
exactly,
but
it's like-
this is I'm not watching it going, ha, this is bad. I'm watching it just thinking like,
I feel it's just
this,
also
Chris Pine's
it's-
not going to direct another movie.
Yeah,
off of
don't
this,
think
right?
so,
Like
yeah.
that's like I'm sure it'll be in stuff, but if he makes another movie all entirely his own, it's gonna have to be another one that he funds himself, I guess.
Well, they are pretty rich actors, so maybe another project, Pullman 2, just to like rub it in, like just go like, no, I actually do really believe in this project. I'm gonna make Pullman 2.
We're bringing it back. We're gonna remake it. Pool
Back
Man
to the-
remake.
Back to the pool or something.
Back to the pool. Pool Man, the pine cut.
Yeah, we need to get a pine cut of this movie. That's our like thing that we're gonna
Hashtag
push.
release the pine cut.
The pine cut of the pool man, and then he just comes like, he's like, no, this is what I meant for it to look like. I was like, I don't believe you.
Bro has been working as an actor in film for 20 years.
How many?
And this is the movie he comes out with.
He had such a pretty long filmography for a
Dude,
guy.
do you want to know what he was doing when he was
He's
our
in
age?
Wish.
Dude, do you want to know what he was doing when he was our age?
What was he doing?
Being James T. Kirk in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek film.
And this here where we are, we're making a fucking
And now
podcast
look at
about
us.
that.
Now
Look at us.
We're sitting here saying his film sucks.
With our dicks in our hands. You know, just
Hey,
fucking
hey,
saying that.
hey! At the end of the day, look, he may be James T. Cook, but at the end of the day, at least I didn't make Pool Man. This is one where I'm like, even the bare fact that you managed to make a movie is not impressive because the movie that was made is Pool Man. This movie's not impressive
Yeah, and with the amount
in any way.
with the amount of context and the amount of
Yeah,
knowledge you can pull on, you know, like knowledge you
Yeah.
can pull on, like people in the industry, you know, that you can
there's-
go
it's
like,
not like there's not like any huge names in this. There's no A-listers, but you've still got like people in here, you know. Annette Bening, Steven Tobolowsky, you know, he's character actor from lots and lots of sitcoms and stuff. You got Clancy Brown, he's a great actor. He's got an amazing voice, obviously. Good old Ray Wise. You got Danny DeVito's got a lot of scenes in this film. Danny DeVito, you know,
yeah, he does a lot of acting in this.
like it's really bad, man.
Yeah.
How'd you do this? It's strange. I can't even imagine this film eventually having a cult follow. This is the perfect kind of movie to be poorly received and then end up with a cult following. But watching this, I'm like, I don't understand. I don't think you could even muster a cult following, you know?
Yeah. Because they
What
did
a
like this.
world,
They
man.
did like a meetup when they were like, we're gonna watch Pullman. All the Pullman men fan are gonna go to watch this movie in a pool while being in a pool. And what happened? A toaster fell into the pool and electrocuted all of them, and they
that's a
died in
shame.
a mass pool accident.
Yeah,
And Chris Pine had to walk in and fish him out with a net with all the corpses.
He does love cleaning his pool.
So that's why there's no fans on Twitter for this movie.
Yeah.
They all died.
That's why this movie isn't going to get a cult following. So the people that would like build up some groundswell for it are dead, unfortunately. It's tragic.
that genetic, branch
Yeah,
cut in its prime,
it's so sad, man. It's so
It's
sad.
very
I feel bad for him, but what can you do?
What can you do?
What can you do? That's Pool Man,
And
and
this
that's
is-
kinds of kindness. But I do think that it was. I do think it was kind of like they kind of worked together, you know, because I feel like they both overlooked for different reasons this year. Kinds of
Yeah.
Kindness just kind of came out, and it's very off-putting. Not in a way like Poor Things, where people who the thing with Poor Things is that although it's incredibly weird, is very straightforward, and it's the kind of weird movie that people that don't watch weird movies very often could watch and be like, wow,
It's like it's
weird.
visually
This is crazy.
nice too. It's like
Yeah,
full
because it's like
visually.
really visually crazy and everything.
Mm-hmm. It's like the
But
Willy
Kinds
Wonka
of
movie.
Kinds of Kindness doesn't quite have that. It's just like it feels closer to like what's that movie he made after The Favorite? No, not before The Favorite, The Killing of the Sacred Deer, you know, where it's like
okay, yeah.
really slow and
Mm-hmm.
really straightforward and down to earth
Yeah.
setting and everything, but like this
Yeah.
really strange situation and narrative, very absurd sort of thing, heightened reality, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
That I think most people don't go and see.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And then you have Poor Man, which just can't get an audience because it's like, who is this movie appealing to?
Yeah, Los Angeles people are in Los Angeles. There's a lot of people in Los Angeles anyway.
I feel like
That's
the only
Los
person who
Angeles.
could enjoy this is somebody who is enamored with Los Angeles.
Yeah, like, it's
They got to be three specific things. This is like RMF eats a sandwich. Okay, they got to be
Yes.
three specific things. They got to not be from Los Angeles, but be enamored by it.
mm-hmm.
They've
3.9
gotta-
million residents.
They've got to watch basically no films ever
Mm-hmm.
and have no understanding of
like-
a movie. They don't even have like a baseline of what is a good movie to
You
them.
have to. I like the idea that's like they're obsessed with Los Angeles, but they hate They don't watch movies. That's like so stupid.
And three, I guess they just really like Chris Pine.
Yeah, I love them in the Star Trek.
I love
movie,
Chris
you know?
Pine.
Yeah.
I've only
Technically-
seen 2 movies: the J.J. Abrams Star Trek film and
Yeah.
Pool Man.
Yeah, we got our Star Trek references out of the way, honestly. We got Kazon, and we got Chris Pine
We
as
got Chris Pine, J.J.
Kirk.
Abrams Star Trek.
Kirk. Yeah.
And you know what? Let's throw in one other one here, quick.
Yeah.
You got to make it count. What's a good one?
Like
A
third
good,
one.
maybe sort of light, deep cut. You know?
You-
No, that's too easy. And now you've said it, and we can't do anything else. So thanks, you ruined it. You know what? Censor
am
that. That's
selfish
not going to
like
get
that.
included.
Okay.
Censor
Alright.
that. We're going to do a
Okay.
different one. Okay.
Okay.
It's got to be something. maybe. Oh, I know. Let's do an I am Tosk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you
Okay,
go.
yeah.
That works.
That's a good one. That's a
Tusk.
good one.
I
And
am
it's also
Tusk.
from our favorite series too.
It's from DS9. It's
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
exactly.
It's not like a major deep cut.
no.
But it's enough that somebody could. It's like a Elon Musk saying "nerve" kind of thing, you know. Please tell me you watch Deep Space Nine. I am Tusk.
Oh, I get you. This guy's watched DS9.
he's watched
He
at
does.
least the first season.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure also the episode is called I'm Tusk, but I'm
We
not
don't have to worry
sure.
about it. There's probably an episode of Evangelion called Nerve, to be fair.
Yeah, honestly.
But that'll be the end of the podcast. Watch Kinds of Kindness, watch The English Teacher, play The Saboteur, and have a lovely week. Yeah? That's the conclusion. That's our epilogue.
It's always about having a lovely week. You
Have
know?
a lovely week.
Yeah, and you can
if
email us.
you don't mind, maybe email us deadensigns@gmail.com. Go to Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, whatever other podcast app you use. Look for Dead Ensigns. Subscribe, follow, whatever they ask you to do. And if they give you the option, leave a rating. But you can also like and subscribe on YouTube, where we upload the podcast. You can watch it there, and you can even leave a comment on the uploads in case you don't feel like sending an email. Until next week, bye-bye.
Bye.
It's shorted out, sir. We're gonna have to phaser it.
Then what are you waiting for?
Right away, sir.
Faster would be better, Ensign.
I can't, sir. We don't want to...
That's enough.
But, sir...
Stand aside, Carlton. I'm going through. You're alive. Good.